Welcome to this internet session of Systems Thinking Certification Program. Appreciate you participating in the program. Hope that you are finding it meaningful, and if you're not, send me an email and let me know why not, and we'll see what we can do about it. Today I want to talk about two segments of the program operation overall, and then the initial segment called Web of Wonder. This is sort of a recycle of the segments for those people who have joined the program since we initially started at the beginning of May, and we will continue to recycle through the segments until we start over and recycle again. So that the program itself is a set of learning threads. The entire environment is crafted in something called Kumu, and I'll talk about that a bit more in a moment, so that you work your way through the program segments. Each segment is a learning thread which consists of a series of segments or modules, and in each module there is a description of that particular module and either a video to read or a video to watch, or a model to interact with to experience something. And the idea is that you work your way through the program until finally you reach the certification in terms of systems thinking, and I'll talk about that a bit more in a moment. But the program operations segment was actually added as an afterthought when a couple of people commented that the up-ramp on this program was extremely steep, and they were not complaining about the content. They were complaining about, or they were commenting about the context itself that was wired together. Now, I said that this is all wired together in something called Kumu, which is a relatively new product introduced Valentine's Day of this year, and it's sort of an environment that I have sought for many years, because I've always wanted to build a learning environment that was sort of crafted out of a set of reusable modules that were put together in learning threads. So it's sort of on a MetroMap context or a paradigm. And finally, with the advent of Kumu, it actually allows for all of these pieces to be wired together, though only part of it is actually doable in Kumu, so that the other pieces are the YouTube videos, which are done, they're actually created with something called Snagit from TechSmith and then uploaded to YouTube. So there is a YouTube channel which you can follow in addition to all of the YouTube videos presented as part of this program. I try to record an additional 2 or 3 videos a week on something related to systems thinking, like I would make a video on anything else. And as I said, they're all done with Snagit, which is a utility from TechSmith, which makes it very easy to go ahead and do a screen capture along with the audio and create a video. In addition, we're using GoToWebinar, which is what this session is done with, and the sessions are recorded and posted to the appropriate places in the different segments, so that people that don't end up being able to attend the internet sessions can review the videos afterwards. I mean, there are people participating in this program that I think are in about 17 different time zones. So in terms of getting here at midnight or 3 a.m. is a little difficult. And those sessions are scheduled on a Google Calendar that is reviewable, and I'll talk to that when I get back to the other screen. Additionally, the models that are built for you to interact with are done in something called Insight Maker, which is a web-based modeling and simulation environment, which is completely free. Not a reduced version of the software for free. It's just completely free, and it's used so that all of the models and the simulations are developed in InsightMaker and presented as links that you can access from the various segments. And Cloudinary is a utility that's within InsightMaker. I'll show you later. There are places that we create things called rich pictures, and in some of the models we reference images that are other places on the web, and they actually show up and allow you to make the model that you're developing a lot more attractive and communicative because of the images that you use in it. Though because you're simply referencing images someplace else on the web, there's always a chance that whatever you're referencing, somebody's going to change. So we went looking for a utility, and we found this thing called Cloudinary, which is a web-based utility where you can store images and documents. And once you store them there, then you can reference them in InsightMaker so that your images won't change or get lost on you. And Cloudinary is a utility which is free until you reach a certain usage limit, and I can't imagine an individual building models in InsightMaker that ever reaches the limit where Cloudinary isn't free. There are numerous references employed throughout the program, some of them videos, some of them documents, and all the videos. Digo is used to create a reference library that is searchable by all the participants so that information or content that's identified along the way is captured and stored in Digo for later reference. And I'll show you where that is on the main screen in a moment. LinkedIn is a social networking environment which has, I forget at the moment how many millions of members it has, but Systems Thinking World is a discussion group on LinkedIn dedicated to systems thinking. Why else would we call it Systems Thinking World? And most of the participants in this program are members of that discussion group. It has about 19,000 members and is very active in terms of people posting discussions and people commenting back and forth to each other, sharing perspectives. So you're invited to join this group if you like. Previously, before the beginning of June, we also used a LinkedIn subgroup to do all of the communications with participants in this program. Though the beginning of June, the Kumu developers actually implemented discussion groups within Kumu so that we could go ahead and do the discussions in the same context that the program is in, and there's no need to then go ahead and do it in some other discussion group someplace else. So these are all of the pieces that are wired together to actually enable this program to work. And in terms of navigating around in this environment, if you haven't watched it yet, watch this video, Navigating the Environment version 5. And because it's version 5, that should give you a sense of the extent to which things have changed in the last 2 months since this program started. Simply, the developer, as we have continued to use it, the Kumu developers have continued to implement things to allow the environment to function better for the participants, and there have been ongoing updates to InsightMaker and additional changes to the way that the environment is being used. So in terms of the individual segments, well, a couple of things that I talked about before. Here's on the initial page, this is the map, and this is the profile for this map, and every element that you select has its own profile, which contains a description and links to other things that you interact with. On the main profile page is a list of all of the segments and links to the discussions associated with them. So that if you click here, it will take you to the discussion for that particular segment of the program where people post their assignments, which I read and provide comments to, though it's also advisable for other people to look at the things that are posted, because the participants are developing some extremely interesting perspectives in the models that they're creating. So when you actually begin a segment of the program, it's appropriate to let me go back here, to go to the discussion group and make sure that you follow this discussion all the time you're in that segment of the program, so that you see all of the traffic and you post your comments or your assignments and get your comments through that discussion. And when you've finally finished with that segment of the program, you can come back here and tell it to unfollow this particular discussion. Now, in addition to the discussions that are associated with the individual segments, there was a news update being sent out every Sunday about what happened the week before and what was intended to happen for the upcoming week. And those were also done, well, those were done in a web package called MailChimp, though it finally dawned on us that because Kumu already knows all of the people that are participating in this program, we could simply go ahead and do the news update as a discussion thread right inside of Kumu. So here's the one that went out on Sunday the 26th, and here's the newsletter that talked about what's coming up, what happened last week, the things that were posted, and comments that individuals made about the newsletter. So things have become more and more integrated, and it just seems as though it continues to get better in terms of being, how do I say this? It has more utility without it being spread out all over the place. Things are becoming more and more concentrated, and they work together better. The other point that I talked about is the DIGA library. If you look at it, here's, there's I don't know, 1,000 items that are in this library, and here's the web session this morning. Rebecca Niles did a presentation on improving product quality at Acme, a real project that they were involved in, and here is the presentation that she used this morning. That's now part of the content for this program that people can reference. And it's also, as I said, content is posted on the segments. So this morning we did a session on systems archetypes. And if you look at this, here is the video from this morning's session along with Rebecca's presentation, so that the people that are working through this segment of the program who were not in a position to actually attend the session this morning can come here at their convenience, and they can watch the video from this morning's session, and the videos show up right inside of Kumu, as opposed to having to go somewhere else to watch them. And here is the presentation, which is stored over in Cloudinary someplace, and people can download it if they want to take a look at it. So that's sort of the way that the program is put together. The internet sessions, which if you're here, you probably understood already. The schedule for them is here, though this is not the way people are typically used to looking at schedules. So we implemented in Google Calendar another view of this so that you can see it the way a calendar is normally laid out and see what's scheduled for when. And 30 minutes before the session is scheduled, well, at least 15 minutes before the session is scheduled, the time will turn into a link so that someone can come. You can come here and click on this and just put in your name and email address, and you can join the session. And that now seems to be working pretty good. So, and also, initially there were an enormous number of changes that were ongoing in the environment, and I implemented an updates page so that if you come here and the date on this is later than the last day you were here, if you click on this, it takes you to a page and it shows you all of the things that have been changed in the environment recently. So if there's something that doesn't look right or is confusing or seems to be different than it was before, you want to go ahead and go take a look at the update. I'm extremely diligent about ensuring that the changes made in the environment get posted on the updates page, because it's just, I know how confusing it is when I go someplace and all of a sudden things don't look like they used to. Was there one other point? Let me see. There was one other point, and all of a sudden I think I can't remember it. But that's the way it goes, I guess. So are there any questions about the program operation itself overview? Was it that clear? All right. Well, let me go ahead and move on to the next segment.